Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Dennis. Today's video is going to be two different things in one. Okay, the first one is a simple one, just how to install your Intel processor onto your motherboard. Very simple, very quick. The second one is going to be a little bit more on the LED RGB strips. Okay, how do you connect them? What about if your motherboard doesn't have the RGB on your motherboard? What do you do then? So I'm going to touch on a little bit more of that aspect of it than the first one, because I've had some requests and I think it's time to do a video on it. So I hope you like it. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell for more videos, and here we go. Okay, so the first thing you got to do is you got to get your Intel CPU. Now this happens to be the i5-7400, and you just take it out of the package. Be careful to take it out. Hold it like that, and don't touch the bottom of the pins. Okay, so the next step is pushing down on this little pin here. Push it down, pull it out, and it's going to lift up. Okay, you're going to open this up, and that's it. Now, some of the things you can look for that identify where and how to put in your Intel processor is two things. So on your processor itself, you're going to have two little notches. So you've got the two little notches in the top corner, and you're also going to have that little triangle there. So how do you match that with your motherboard? Well, what they've done recently is, in order to make the triangle show up more and to point it out more, what they've started doing is, this is the corner that it usually will go to. Okay, and I don't know if you can see that. You can see that little white dot. That indicates where your triangle is going to go. Now, if you're close enough up, you should be able to see, actually from even here, that it shows the triangle. So the white actually circles the triangle. You can see on the top part that it's got that two little pins, if you will. So when you put it in, you're basically just going to let it set in place. All right. And once it's in place, just make sure it's just setting there. So take your little handle. Okay. Make sure this goes underneath here. Now when you push this back down, okay, there will be a bit of tension. So you hear that? And it just popped off the little black cover. And you want to keep that. You may need it later on in case there's something wrong with your processor and you need to return it. So once that's in place, that is all there is to installing an Intel processor. They've made it very simple, not much to it. So hope that helps somebody. Hope it explains it. And of course, after this, now you're going to, I've used this in a system before, so I'm going to use rubbing alcohol to clean it off. Then I'm going to put on my cooler. Now, I'm going to do an upcoming video on a water cooler, so that's going to be for a different video. But now let's get to the second part of this video. So the first thing you want to do is identify where your JLED 1 on your motherboard is. Now, I've zoomed this in so you can see it a little bit better. So when you're looking at your motherboard, they're not always easily to identify. So what do? Look at your motherboard manual. Okay. Somewhere in there, it's going to talk about RGB lighting or something of that nature, if your motherboard supports it. Now, if it doesn't, that'll be on the second part of this video. But that's an important part, is to first identify where on your motherboard it is. Now, on this motherboard, it's right here. Okay. You can see the JLED here. Okay. Now, it actually can be confusing because right there is the system fan. Okay, system fan is the one beside it, which is right here. Okay, so this is just to identify this part. So they put it over top, JLED 1, which identifies this one because this one is your audio. All right, so that's the first step in plugging it in. Now, what else do you need to know? Well, I'm going to show you. So having it focused in just a little bit more, you can see on here where it shows 12 volt, green, blue, red. Okay, that indicates to you that that's how you have to connect it and where you have to connect it on your motherboard for your RGB. Okay, so I'm going to show you a RGB kit that I actually have. I'm going to show you how to connect that. So this is a typical RGB flexible LED strip that you can buy. Now when you get a cooler that has one on it, it's simply attached to the cooler and you're going to plug it into the spot on the motherboard. But what do you get when you get one of these? Well, let's have a look. So first off, on the back of the box, it shows you everything that you're going to get inside. You're going to get a flexible LED strip, RGB, with an adhesive tape. Now that's just to help you make sure it stays in place. It has a multi-function remote controller. Now this is particular to this one. An LED driver and of course the user manual. And it tells you the voltages and all that kind of good stuff, in which case the operating power in this one is 7.2 watts. Has a beam angle of 120 degrees, operates on 12 volt, and it has an ingress protection rating of IP54. Okay, so let's have a look at it. So you got two different ones. One's going to be your strip, and I'm assuming the other one's going to be your connector. Well, let's get this sucker out of here. So our first box has your LED strip. So this is the important part for our video because on here it shows you the connector that's going to go on your motherboard. And one of the things I want to show you up close, but I'll do that afterward, is how to identify which one is the 12 volt and etc. And on here, the way you can tell, I've done another video kind of like this, but it wasn't specifically on RGB. The arrow indicates where your 12 volt is. So that's the part that's going to plug into your motherboard. Now in this case, we'll find out if that's the same. All right, so that's part one. Now that's in here. And here is going to be your remote control, and let's find out what else. Now this is not bought as part of a motherboard or anything like that, so it's all completely different. We have our remote control, which is going to allow you to change all the lighting, all that kind of good stuff, turn on, off, all that kind of stuff like that, which is nice. Your manual, which you will need to look at to figure out how everything goes. And then you've got connectors. So this one here, okay, we got two different ones. This is your AC adapter, and this is going to plug in. But to where? Well, let's find out. And then you've got this one here. So this here is what would basically be on your motherboard. Okay, so that's the part that we go into what's the pins that are already there. And then of course you've got another connector here, which I think is for the infrared, but we'll find that out. And then this little mechanism is going to help you control everything. Now again, keep in mind, this is the RGB controller box, or infrared remote control. Okay, you point it at this thing, and this picks up a signal, and then that's how you can do it. If you have a CPU that has the RGB on it, and it's going to have its own connector, you're not going to need any of this. Okay, now if you don't have a connector on your motherboard, that will be in here, and I'll show you a different approach, which is basically what this is. So you've got your voltage and your connector. So this, okay, so this part here is pins. So that's going to be kind of like what would be on your motherboard. And of course you're going to plug it in. So on here you're going to have an arrow on one side, and on the other one you're going to have another arrow as well. So you're going to want to match up those two arrows. And much like they're going to plug into a motherboard, they're simply going to go together. And they're going to connect. And that's all there is to it. Okay? So for the purpose of just showing you the RGB on your motherboard, I'm going to show you how this goes on the motherboard alone. There is another way to connect your motherboard to the RGB strip, even if you don't have like one of these. Okay, you have a SATA connector, and that SATA connector will plug in and connect, and I'm going to try and show you that. Okay, so this is just from the kit, and I just want to show you where and how to identify how to plug it in. So you can see this little arrow right here. Okay, so that is where your 12 volt is going to be. And again, when you look on your motherboard, so again, when you look at your motherboard, you can see the 12 volt green, red, and blue. I know I said green, blue, red before, but it doesn't really matter. So it's 12 volt, green, red, blue. So the arrow is going to connect onto where it says the 12 volt and just goes in place. So I'm going to use this just to kind of show you of how it goes on. So again, keeping the arrow in mind, you want the arrow where it says 12 volt. So you're just going to put it over top and it's just going to slide in place. Now, because this is not intended to go on the motherboard that way, it won't plug in. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so if you don't have that connector on your motherboard, how else can you connect it? Typically what happens is when you get a CPU cooler with the connector, it also gives you the extra option of plugging it in with SATA. So that's what this is. Okay, so you get these two ends, and on your motherboard, you're going to have the opposite end. And you're just going to plug the two of them in together. Once they're plugged in together, that's going to give you the power you need to operate your RGB. And really, that's all there is to it. Now, if you want to see a little bit more, you can go back and look at the GAMX GT RGB. And I talk about this a little bit more in depth to show you how to connect it. Okay, I just wanted to point out there's two different ways to connect your RGB. Motherboard for the JLED 1, make sure you connect it the right way or it's just simply not going to work. The other way is to have the SATA connector coming from your power supply, connect the two ends together, and that's going to allow you to have the power for your RGB strip. Okay, so I hope that helps somebody out. What I wanted to also do is I thought, you know what, I pulled out this kit, why not finish it off? So I am going to show you how to use this whole package. So basically what we did, we connected the two ends together. Okay, this is going to use the adhesive tape, and you just put it on somewhere in your case and just attach it. And then you've got your infrared connector. Okay, so you just want to have that somewhere up so that the connector, have it up so that when you're sending your signal from your remote, that it's a little bit more prominent so it'll catch it. So it doesn't have to be like right on the edge of the case or anything like that, but it should pick it up anyway, but just in case, I'm just pointing that out there. So what do we got left? But basically we have a connector here, which just fastens in. All right, and then what that does is allow you to plug this into the outlet in the wall, which gives you your power, which is going to turn everything on. So I got thinking about it. I said, well, theoretically, if that's the way it works, I should be able to plug this into an outlet and this should all light up. Let's give it a go. What do we got to lose? All right, here we go. Okay, so basically I've got it done now. It's connected to the wall outlet. This is your on-off switch. So we're going to turn it on. Hopefully it will power everything and everything will start up. But it didn't. So why? Let's have a look here. So here's our strip. So the reason it didn't come on is because you have a little plastic piece in here for your remote. You have to turn it off. So now you simply push the on button. And you have to make sure you point it at your infrared remote. And you do the same thing to turn it off. You can decrease the brightness or increase it. And you can change the colors. Okay, again, make sure that you're pointing it at the infrared or it's not going to make a difference. So you can change it whatever color you want, blue, orange. There's a lot of different colors. You can have it flash. Okay, strobe, and fade, and smooth. Okay, or you can have all white, or you can simply turn it off. Okay, so that video was installing an Intel processor and how to connect LED strips. And I even went so far as to do the flexible LED strip, which at first I wasn't sure I was going to do that, but I mean, when I realized how easy it was, I was like, well, why not show people? So connect it to your AC. It's not going to do anything until you turn the switch on. And even then, all that does is turn on your infrared so that once you activate the battery in the remote control, now you can play around with it and change it. And you can see by looking at the different color schemes how that's going to be kind of cool. So given the fact that if for some reason you cannot connect an LED strip to your computer case, because it's just simply, for some reason it doesn't allow for the SATA connector, or you don't have the JLED 1 on your motherboard, that's an alternative. Use that kit, the RGB kit, connect it to your system. Now, there's adhesive tape on the back of that strip. Okay, so you can put it on however you want. It's not real strong, but it's strong enough to hold it in place. It's meant so that if you put it on once and you want to move it again, you can move it around to suit what you want more than once. Okay, so hope you like that video. If you like that video, hit that like. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that bell for future notifications. Hope you like this video. Hope it helped you out a little bit. Stay tuned for future videos. Thanks for watching.